Good morning, everyone. So, we will be starting with our today's session. We will be taking up a new topic today that we had just discussed yesterday, that what we will be taking up today. So, today we will be taking up a new topic or new concept in corporate governance, which is called as risk management and internal control. Since day one of corporate governance, we have been discussing that it is the responsibility or it is the prime role of the board of directors of a company to formulate the strategy of the company as well as to check or monitor or supervise whether that policy or whether that strategy which is being formulated by the board is being properly implemented in the company or not. That is the prime role of the board of directors of the company. So when we talk about policy formation, it comes in one part, and the next part of policy formation is policy implementation, and the third and very important part is supervising, monitoring, or controlling the companies, whether the company is implementing in proper manner or not. That is the third and very important thing. So when we talk about monitoring or supervising the company by the board of directors, then it comes under internal control. So today we will be discussing that what is risk management and what is internal control. Now we have been discussing this also when we had discussed various codes of corporate governance of various countries, that risk is associated with business, or we can say that risk and business are two sides of the same coin. Business to grow has to take risk, then only we can expect that the business will grow or the company will be top in that particular industry. Without taking risk, no company can be successful in the long run. And we all are aware of various companies which failed to take risk and now they are nowhere in the world. Best example for this, we can talk about Nokia. Now we all are aware that 10 to 15 years back, for 20 years or more than that, Nokia was the topmost company of the world, or world number one company, when we talked about mobiles or mobile handsets. That was the topmost company, and it remained at that particular position for more than 20 years. But they refused to take risk. And because of that particular risk, one, they refused to take risk, and the other one is they refused to foresee the risk or predict the future. Because of these problems, now we do not see Nokia anywhere in competition. So similarly, we can say that risk is definitely associated with the progress of the company. So it is not only the responsibility of the board of directors that to formulate company's strategy or to implement the company's strategy, but they have to foresee the future. they have to take certain amount of risk. So that risk, how they should be taking that risk and how they should manage that risk. Now, risk taking is one thing and managing the risk is another. If you are taking risk, you should be aware that if you are taking a particular risk and things are not happening as per your thinking or as per your prediction, then how you will manage that particular risk. It should not happen that once you have taken a risk and if things are not going as you had planned, and if you do not have control measures to control that or to manage that risk, then it will be loss for the company. Then it will be we can say it will prove a negative strategy for the company, or negative thing for the company, which will not be good for the financial health of the company. So that is the risk. Now, uh, the Code of Corporate Governance, SEBI, as well as the Companies Act 2013 have defined the term risk also. Now, risk means the possibility that something unexpected or not planned will happen, with the outcome being rather good or bad, or either good or bad. So risk is an unplanned, or sorry, it is a unexpected thing which the company may have to counter in future. So they have to predict what that unexpected thing they may have to encounter in future, and how they will be encountering that particular unexpected thing, which is called as risk. So that planning is called as management. So that is called as risk management. When we talk about a technical definition of risk management, it is said that risk management is the process by which the executive management or the board of directors identifies the risk coming from business and establishes priorities to prevent, minimize, and manage them. So that is called as risk management. So any unexpected thing which will happen in future, and how, if that particular thing which is not expected happens in future, how it will be managed by the company, that is to be studied or discussed under risk management. Now we will be taking up the principles of effective risk management. There are generally four principles of effective risk management. First principle is called as risk identification. Second is risk evaluation. Third is risk management. And fourth is risk control and review. So these are the four principles of risk management. Now, under risk identification, it is expected that an organization should have a procedure for a regular review of the risks it faces, as the nature or range of risk change from time to time. Now, here what is expected, in simple words, we can say that in risk identification, it is expected that whenever the board is meeting, suppose the board is meeting 4 times a year, in every meeting, they should try to take a review that in near future, whether they are going to encounter any unexpected competition or any unexpected risk. So they need to take a review for that. Now here, under risk identification, the principle of risk identification also expects that the board of directors or board of the company should have a strong procedure to identify the risk. Now, how to identify the risk? They have mentioned that risk can be identified by the use of data analysis, business indicators, market information, market scenario, portfolio analysis, and should not allow and should not rely on the perception of group of managers. So how risk is identified, they have mentioned very clearly under principle of risk identification that it should not be based on the perception of the managers. Perception of the managers means manager feels that he is having experience of say 20-25 years in a particular industry, and because of that experience, only because of his perception in that particular industry, if he is suggesting something that there will be risk or there will not be risk, but that risk or that suggestion or that view is based on his perception only, that is not ideal for risk identification. So it should not be based on, it is mentioned very clearly that risk identification should not be based on manager's perception, but it should be based on data analysis. It should be based on business indicators. It should be based on market information. It should be based on portfolio analysis. Now, all these type of analysis should be done to review the future risk. It should not be based on the perception of the managers. So that is the first procedure to identify risk, or how risk can be identified by the management. Now, next procedure under risk identification expects that the company or the board should adopt a top-down approach, but it should not be limited to strategic and high-end risks only. Top-down approach, we all know what is top-down approach. That means the orders are coming from top and are implementing at the down level. There is clear communication of the role from the top to the bottom. Everyone is clear about that. So that is called as top-down approach. But it should not be limited to strategic and high risks only, but it should also include smaller risks. High end risk means when you are changing, when you are thinking say for expansion of your company, or when you are thinking of diversification of your company, at that particular time we can say that these particular points can be included in high end risk, because you are taking a huge risk by going for expansion or by going for diversification. So that these type of risk are called as high end risks. Small end risk means in the near future, say after 1 month, after 6 months, or after 3 months, what type of small risks which the company may encounter, that is also to be identified. Not only high end risk, but that in case of diversification, what type of risk will be encountered by the company. In case of expansion, what type of risk will be encountered by the company. These are all high end risks. But apart from that, small risk should also be identified and they should also be managed. And that is the second procedure of risk identification. Now, the third procedure for risk identification talks about various methods to identify and assess risks. That what type of methods can be adopted by a company to identify the and assess the risk. So first method is called as financial audit programs. Now these programs are used to identify financial risks, financial audit programs. So we have talked about internal audit, we have talked about external audit, and same is expected here also in financial audit programs. There has to be regular financial audits of the company so that the board of directors and the company comes to know whether the company is moving in the right direction, whether the finances of the company are properly managed and utilized, whether the finance of the company is properly controlled and supervised and properly used by the company. So that is that the company will come to know with the help of a method which is called as financial audit programs. Now the next method is called as hazard and operability studies. Now this method is used to identify the physical and procedural hazards by manufacturing organizations in their operations. Hazard is problem, right? So operational problems can be identified by the procedures set by the company. So if the company is having a policy that after every 2 months or after every 3 months, they will be taking a review of operational processes or operationability or operability of machines. Now it may happen that some machine which are giving say less output than what is expected out of them. Why these machines are giving less output, that will be understood by the company only if there is a method of hazard identification or operability studies conducted often by the companies, that whether all the machines which are working in the organization, which are functioning in the organization, are producing at their maximum limit or at their standard limit which is set by the company. If they are not producing the output, then they are to be either they should be referred for repairing or maintenance or for replacement. So that is called as hazard operability studies. So that is regarding the identification of risk. So first principle is related to risk identification. Now the second principle which we will be discussing is related to risk evaluation. Risk, we all know what risk is, and evaluation of risk. Evaluation means the company or the board of director should evaluate the risk, the gravity of the risk, whether the effects, what will be the effects of the risk, that is to be evaluated by the board, by the company in advance. So that is expected under risk evaluation. Now risk evaluation is, it is the second stage after risk identification. It is assessment and mapping of risk a company must have a procedure to rank, categorize, and anticipate them. So for risk evaluation, it is expected under the principle of risk evaluation that every company should have a policy or a procedure to rank category wise risks, that what are high end risks and what are small end risks and what are medium type of risks. So small risk should be identified, medium risk should be identified, and high risk should be identified, and accordingly these risks are to be managed. So that comes under the principle of risk evaluation. Now when we talk about, and it also talk about anticipating risk. Now anticipating risk means that we should be expert enough or experienced enough, or the board of the company should be expert and experienced enough that they should be able to anticipate the future, predict the future, that what will happen in the long run, what will happen in the short run with the business of the company. So that is called as anticipation of risk. Now again, if we talk about anticipating risk, the anticipation of risk under risk evaluation is to be guided by following features. Now how risk anticipation is done under risk evaluation? It is guided under, it has certain features or characteristics. Now under that sorry, first point is insight. Under insight, or insight is the ability to identify the root cause of risk where there are multiple causes or root causes that are not immediately obvious. Now, and insight means it is the ability of the board to identify the root cause of risk, that in future if there will be a risk, what will be the root cause of their risk, and if there are multiple causes of risk in future, what will be the multiple causes of risk and how they will be they will be managing or evaluating that risk. So that comes under insight. Second way to anticipate risk or feature of anticipating risk is called as information. Now under information, it is expected that the company or the board will come to know or will be able to anticipate the risk if comprehensive information about all aspect of that particular industry and the financial details are shared with the board or the company. So board, how the board will come to know about, or how they will be able to anticipate the risk? They will be able to anticipate the risk if comprehensive information is provided to the board. Comprehensive information not only about the company but also about the other companies or that particular industry. What other companies in that particular industries are doing. Suppose if we are talking about automobile industry, and this company is called as XYZ company. So not only information to board of directors should be provided by XYZ company, but XYZ company should try to provide the information of the recent developments in automobile industry in India as well as in the world also. At if the board goes through that comprehensive information, then it will be easier for the board to anticipate risk. Okay, now fossil fuels are coming to an end, and if fossil fuels are coming to an end, and if diesel and petrol prices are increasing day by day, then what type of risk their company will encounter in, say, 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, and in 10 years? So they will be able to anticipate the risk in a clear manner if a comprehensive information is shared with the board of directors by the company. Then they will be able to anticipate. Okay, in developed country, what is the scenario? They have realized that the fossil fuels, or the petrol or diesel, or the LPG, or this type of fuel required for automobile industry is getting costlier, and is after, say, 20 years or more, there will be no petrol or diesel left for running the automobile industry. Now, to overcome this type of risk, what these companies are doing, if that information is shared with XYZ company's board, then definitely the company will come up, or will try to anticipate what type of risk will be encountered in India by XYZ company. And then they will be able to anticipate risk in a more proper manner, as well as they will be able to encounter or manage that risk in a more proper manner. So this is how the risk can be evaluated. So that is related to evaluation of risk. Now, the next principle, or the third principle of risk management that we will be discussing, is called as risk management response. That you have anticipated risk, you have prepared a procedure or a strategy that in future, if you are encountering this type of risk, this will be the strategy to encounter that risk. And here one more word is included, and which comes to risk management response. Whatever strategy which you had prepared in 2020, and you encountered the risk in 2021 or 2022, whether that strategy made 1 or 2 years beforehand is implemented effectively for measuring that risk, or for controlling that risk after 2-3 years of now. If not, what type of changes is required? That changes should be promptly done by the board of the company. So that we will be discussing risk management response. So it says, after mapping risk, after ranking the risk, after identifying, and after anticipating the risk, a company should have a framework within which to respond to the identified and categorized risk, bearing in mind that risk could have outcome which are either bad or good, and responses opted should include the following things. So what is expected in risk management responses is that, first thing is that once you have anticipated or identified the risk, once you have mapped the risk, once you have categorized the risk, you should keep in mind that the outcome of this risk are of two types. It can be bad for the company or it can be good for the company. Now, the response to this particular risk, how the responses should take place, or how the company should respond to control these risks, which can be either bad for the company or good for the company. If it is providing greater opportunity for the company, then we can say that yes, it is good for the company. For example, the company has anticipated that after 3 years there will be total ban of diesel vehicles in India, and the company started planning, started investing money in, say, in manufacturing lithium battery cars or other type of battery cars or solar cars or electric cars, because they had anticipated, they had predicted that after 2 or 3 years definitely the government is going to ban diesel vehicle, because it, because of its say increased pollution or increased or other type of disadvantages. So what the company has decided, that they know that in future in 2 3 years this is going to happen. So what they have done is they have started investing in other type of vehicles which will not be using diesel. Now this particular company, if whatever they have anticipated, that is after 3 years there will be no diesel car on Indian road, if such thing takes place, the government after 3 years bans the diesel vehicle, then we can expect that this company, for this company, this risk, it will be, we can call this risk as a good risk, because this risk will give or will create opportunity of profit, opportunity of growth for this particular company, because they were able to predict, they were able to anticipate the risk in a, say a good risk, right? And because of that they were able to plan for that risk, they categorized that risk, and they started working over encounter how they will be encountering that risk, and everything went well. Whatever they have anticipated, things went accordingly, according to that way only, and that is why they are now having more opportunity than other uh, automobile companies which are working in the country. So that is either good or bad type of risk. Bad type of risk, again, it is very simple. If exactly opposite things happen, they have invested lot of money and the government is not, government doesn't ban the diesel vehicle. So what will happen? It will create a financial pressure on the functioning of the company, because they had anticipated. So this will be called as a bad risk for the company. They could not anticipate the risk in a correct manner. So risk can be good or risk can be bad also. Now here the responses opted to manage risk are different. There are various types of responses which can be opted to manage the risk. First is called as avoid the risk. Avoid the risk. So first thing, which first feature of risk management responses, or how you can, how the company should respond to risk. First thing we will be discussing is avoid the risk. If possible, company should try to avoid the risk. Now here, how to avoid the risk? So they have mentioned here under the principle of risk management, under the risk management responses, that how a company can avoid risk. The company can avoid risk by not starting the activity that creates exposure to the risk. That company has anticipated a risk and it is not moving towards the risk. So they are not starting any activity to encounter the risk, and that is called as avoid the risk. Now, second point or second response which can be opted by the company can be called as treating or reducing the risk. Now, under treating or reducing the risk, it is expected that with the help of improvements to the controlled environment, such as the development of business continuity plan. Now, here, a risk treatment may include methods, procedures, application, and management systems that are used with the help of appropriate resources that reduces the probability or possibility of severity of risk. So first point we had discussed was to avoid the risk, try to avoid, but it is always not possible. We cannot avoid risk. Risk are unplanned or unexpected thing which will take place in future. It can be in near future or it can be in long run. On principle, the response says that the company can avoid risk, but on ground, if we talk about practical applicability, it is in many times it is not possible for the company to avoid risk. So second response is somewhat simplified or simpler, which talks about treating or reducing the risk. Try to treat the risk